Right, this is a song that I wrote. Does anybody know Jim Chorley? Jim Chorley. So I wrote this with Jim a few years ago. But again, it's about funerals and how wakes. 15 miles from Billy's wake, Jim's tuning his guitar. The speakers and the amps were all squeezed inside our ancient car. At the top of it all, the headlights start to fade. Thank God it's all downhill from here. The GPS had died, we had to kill the radio. The only light was lightning on the way to Billy's final show. We had one fewer friend and I. Little puddle of mourners, I thought that it's all downhill from here. All downhill from here. The GPS is clear. All downhill from here. All downhill from here. All downhill from here. And I do mean it in a positive way. Although the things are difficult and changing all the time, we're older than we've ever been, and though we're losing people, we can see their faces on the faces of their children, and on the art they left behind, and the songs they used to sing, and the stories we can tell. So it's like we're freewheeling. We don't need to pedal any harder because it's downhill. So the wheels are taking us to the final destination, but the final destination's easy to get to when I'm with you. Sing along with me. It's all downhill from here. That's good. It's all downhill from here. Beautiful. People in the middle. You just got to your best friend's funeral. Everything's going to shit. Everyone's going to die. All downhill from here. Everybody in the middle. All downhill from here. Take those sounds. Sing it with me. All downhill from here. Brilliant. The sad ones in the middle. All downhill from here. The Nazis over here. All downhill from here. Brilliant. Everybody. It's all downhill from here. On your own. All downhill from here. Claudia and Samir were very close indeed. Joined by but a single heart, neither could be freed. No surgeon would attempt it, the surgeons all agreed. Technology was ill-prepared for kids as close as these. No prosthesis could be sculpted, their valves were too precise. Their chances of survival were slim to not that nice. But despite the heavy odds, their ticker never stopped. They survived, in fact, they thrived. Their clogs, they never popped. Their heart lived in a kind of tube that linked their two pale chests. They had to make big holes inside their jumpers, shirts and vests, but a scientific miracle nonetheless were they. Claudia was quiet while Samir would chat away. Samir was an optimist, he saw the sunny side. Claudia, a pessimist, she'd never be a bride, or a tennis player, or a ballerina. She'd never dance in pointed shoe inside a packed arena, so she blackened up her nails and dyed her hair all dark. She wore headphones that played sad songs when they walked around the park. While Samir would sing and chatter and feed the ducks some cake, she'd just stare and plot and plan to jump into the lake. Her joie de vivre was gone, misplaced all of her humour. Samir was not her brother now, she saw him as a tumour and she wanted him removed. A plan was duly hatched. She pledged to only smile again when not semi-detached. She theorised of tourniquets and tried to hire assassins, but they would not return emails when they saw what she was asking. Poor, pale Claudia, fixed to Tweedledum, pining for a privacy she knew would never come. Poor, pale Claudia, her life so dark and terrible. If nobody would kill Samir, she'd make up his life unbearable. She took up rolling her own. The air was thick and choking. She knew his lungs were fragile, it was death through passive smoking. And she abandoned washing. Her teeth were a disgrace. Every breath, the smell of death. She breathed into his face, but Samir truly loved her. He wrote her pretty sonnets. He tried to help her smile again, but her sadness had no tonic. For years she scratched and scraped away his happy inclination. She pulled him down to hopelessness. He shared her deep frustration. Oh, for sanity, for freedom, oh, cause our liberation, cried Samir. My mind is set, give me emancipation. And that was that. The knife was swift. They both then turned their backs. They walked away. 5 steps they took. They felt their souls contract. But the world wasn't born without somebody before them. Independence wasn't beautiful with no one to assure them. Yeah, they saw the full horizon, but neither of them cared. What good is a horizon if it's there but isn't shared? And as they stood and as they bled, they knew they were mistaken. They ran back into open arms and all the world was quaking and they didn't need to talk. They knew they'd both forgive. They slumped and died much closer than each had ever lived. Nothing never happens in isolation. The sad stories don't just appear upon a page. Unless you use your mind to scrutinize the information, we're gonna see the same stories happening again and again and again and again. But we have to fall in line and stay inside, offer up our prayers but not our actions. I know that I find from the state of my mind won't do what you were asking, and I see my face and I feel that it's straight line. Go outside, offer up your prayers but also your actions. I know that I find from the state of our mind we can't do what they are asking, and I feel my face and I feel the disgrace of night, because I know that nothing ever happens in isolation. If words were enough to express ourselves, we wouldn't need art. Nobody'd invent the guitar. There'd be a nice white ceiling on the Sistine Chapel. If words were enough to express ourselves, we wouldn't need gods. We'd recognize that mystery was mystery. We wouldn't make up mysteries or heavens. Everyone's talking, they're all screaming out, 'cause they want to be a part of the crowd. But even they don't understand each other. The fist quite likes the violence, and the bullet only wants to fly, and the tongue gets sharp where the razor can't come, so you just have to join the fight. If words were enough to express ourselves, we wouldn't need art. Nobody'd invent the sitar. There'd be a nice...
The first one is kind of dedicated to refugees, and it was inspired by a guy I met at a festival who had travelled over from Syria, and despite losing everything, he had a really positive, upbeat and grateful approach to life, and he was really happy that he found some people who looked after him and taken him on. So this is kind of dedicated to him, but also everyone who's been forced to start a new life in a new country after the war, and it's called Citizen Nowhere.
that's what we've had, just such serious and beautiful music. So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
Of a British motorway. You got too many underdeveloped conspiracy theories about capitalism, big pharma, immigration, vaccinations, and the role of long-wave continuity announcers. You got too many bikes and bored children waving at strangers from the back of your Range Rover to be travelling in the fast lane of a British motorway. Too many varieties of rare breeds cluttering up your weekend from Islington smallholding. You got too many culturally appropriated haircuts in the back of your festival camper van to be travelling. in the fast lane of a British motorway.
Hi, let's play together.
Fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Overload, overload. Surrender to our robot overlords. Error 404, human not found. I drive across the ocean bridge 20 times a day. I'm the ocean village idiot, they can't get me away. I go down into Oxford Street, I'm looking for the slots, but all I find is restaurants and otherwise not a lot. They say, what's on your mind? Na 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 na. All together now. What's on your mind? Na 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 na. I go to Shirley High Street and I shop for charity. I buy some broken furniture and take it home with me.
Human encroachment, habitat dwindling. Sounds of the DJs drift up the mountains. The forest creatures all syncopated. They googled the moves, now they're ready and waiting. Bailamos, great visitation.
In the right key? Yes. Okay.
When I was a young boy, my pa said, speak your mind. But every time I do these days, he bows his head and cries. And when you meet a woman, you be the strong and silent type. Cause when you open up your mouth, boy, it never comes out right. I got a mumbling blues. Come on, everybody. I got a mumbling blues. Come on. Cause no one's gonna listen to anything you say. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was walking past the chapel when I got the holy fire. He ran up to the altar, raised my hands up in the air. People danced and clapped their hands as I began to pray. They said, amen to you, brother, but only God knows what you're saying. I got a mumbling blues. Come on, I got a mumbling blues. Come on.
We come to the land of the ice and snow, but only not so when the hot springs flow. hammer of the gods will drive our ships to new lands, fight the force and sing and cry, Valhalla, we are coming. Oh, we sweep with threshing ore, here we go, will be your western shore.
Thank you. Good night.
Really great to be here. We're all here for the same reason. So I'm just going to start off because it's a lot of sort of sitting down. I might need your help clapping, just keeping the rhythm. I'm just going to start you off. We'll just start like this a bit. Weapon, in that sentence I quote, whether hip-hop descended from West Indian storytelling. Say free, free. Alright, could be better than that. And again. Let me hear you say free, free.
Constant.
Free, free. Free, free. PSC Southampton, I hold through the airwaves, you're listening to courageous dissidents. Time to break the chains of your brain's imprisonment for the rage of citizens, tasting caged innocence. People petitioning, they're not hearing it, a question of conditioning. Sister overseers created divisions to put race and religion in the history of partitioning. By those who have ambitions in restricting growth in places that won't business them, law requires bickering. That's why they focus on no hopers, not big business and systems we live in. The facts are sickening. As tax-paying citizens, this war is something we're all complicit in. Time to join civilians, picking sticks and letters to politicians to explain your position in the penny drops it's rippling. We bring lyrical nutrients to the moral sense we seem to be deficient in. Come on, replace Greek apathy with caffeine and some politics the opposite. It's time to face the greed of the cheats of our democracy. I'm the optimist. Austerity is just bleeding the weak, people sleep in the street, what's the cost of it? It be seen, teens who can't read, no esteem, broken dreams, pits bottomless. Yes, we need unity, the elites robbing we with their fees, let's topple it. Price to see F-15s overseas is obscene, while we can't doctor the sick. The BBC just repeats and repeats that there's no money, but there's lots of it. Privately squeezing people in need, money leaves the country while we rotting it. For Gaza, for and yo, I get deep, I get deep with words. Come on, and yo, I get deep like net leaks of death teams. With the US Army on the left sleeve, the best thieves on Shell and BP's bankroll. Sent to the Middle East in search of the black gold. It's that cold. How for greed the planet is plundered. When cars ran on peanuts in the 1900s. This is seldom muttered, like talk of armaments. Put in the palms of brutal governments by parliament. If war increases the GDP, who started it? The narcissists who run Britain are part of it. Creating enemy entities for the industry. The sole weaponry given to kids in the infantry is insidious. The biggest employer of engineers makes weapons that kill civilians. I know how great Britain is, but how can our country live in peace if war is what our business is? Yep. Fabric of society. We're fabric of society. People, thank you. Just bring that down, please. Yeah. Thank you. I've been aware of the Palestinian cause for a long, long time, and this isn't like an obviously, a ceasefire is massively necessary. We were campaigning for it months and months ago. The government was ignoring us. But actually, anyone who actually understands the history of Palestine knows that it's a lot more than that needs to happen. It's a massive injustice. And an occupation that has to end. So I'm just going to get this really...
Ceasefire, end the blockade! Ceasefire, send in the aid! Ceasefire, end the blockade! Ceasefire, send in the aid! This didn't start in 223. That's why the world's flying flags, white, black, red and green. Because we stand with humanity against the longest occupation the world's ever seen. Against racial domination based on ethnicity. Against a 16-year blockade by land and sea. Refugees denied the right of return by the regime. While F-16s leave, whole families deceased. 10,000 children killed by Israeli death teams. In 100 days in front of the main screen. Airstrikes destroyed hospitals and health facilities. We've seen massacres live streamed on our phone screens. The Zionist state with this high-tech weaponry dropped 6,000 bombs on Gaza in the first week, claiming right of self-defense, but they say this to deceive. They're the occupying power with millions under siege. The US and UK have full complicity from selling Israel arms and aiding politically. The RA in Cyprus, Akrotiri is with the weapons delivery. Leave for Tel Aviv. Elitist racist hypocrisy is clear to see. When Ukraine was invaded, we are rebels to the teeth. Welcome their refugees and help them rightfully. Palestine's invaded and the casualties are left to bleed. Jesus is under the rubble, who's your enemy? The ruling elite don't care for your security. 2/3 of MPs voted for war, not to cease. Palestinian blood will stay on hands eternally. Generations of families killed instantly. They're raising entire neighborhoods with their military. No fuel, water or food allowed in. Occupation forces are surrounding, collectively punishing a whole population, inciting genocide persuasion with public statements, destroying all chance for Gaza to live. Ethnic cleansing so they cease to exist. We must resist. Genocide, resist. Genocide, you're complicit. Genocide, you must resist. Genocide. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid. Systematic has been the building of settlements from the river to the sea, raising homes, displacing residents. The Israeli state arming its racist settlers, ethnic cleansing, giving Jewish only preference. JCBs have carved the West Bank into segments. Oppression is rife and apartheid is evident. Article 49, 4th Geneva Convention. This 57-year occupation needs your attention. The soldiers brutalize Palestine's population while the state presents itself as a victim nation, weaponizing the Bible and anti-Semitic tensions to deflect from war crimes and breaking UN conventions. Some say the Zionist vision's about religion, but we say it's about settler colonialism, kicking Palestinians out of the homes they live in and not letting them return while Jewish owners moving them coming from abroad granted full citizenship, while Palestinians are granted basic rights to live. And that's the injustice that they're trying to high. Salute to Jewish people who condemn the Zionist crimes. Since 1948, towns were ethnically cleansed. These terrorist groups became the IDF, waging a list of war operations like cast lead. In Gaza, Israel mows the lawn where the grass is kids' heads. It's hard to process, but we must protest. In Gaza, there was no Iron Dome to protect. 30,000 killed, bodies still piling. Silence in Guernica for the genocide siren. Generations of families killed instantly, erasing entire neighborhoods with their military. No fuel, water or food allowed in. Occupation forces are surrounding, collectively punishing a whole population, inciting genocide persuasion with public statements, destroying all chance for Gaza to live. Ethnic cleansing so they cease to exist. We must resist. Genocide, resist. Genocide, if you're complicit. Genocide, you must resist. Genocide. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid. The prime time war mania is sick and insane. Bombings have made Gaza change colour and texture from space. Dancing Israelis, filming as the fuse detonates, turning entire streets and neighbourhoods to waste. 300 sites of heritage and history never replaced. 2,000-pound bombs leave craters where children once played. They've made conditions unlivable for people engaged, destroying more hospitals than on modern wars today. Doctors, nurses, healthcare workers killed cause they stayed, helping their patients like professionals. We honour their names. With no fuel, incubated babies made their last gasp. Kidney dialysis machines stopped and just wouldn't start. The water's poisoned, sewage flows down through the streets. The biggest killers will be famine, dehydration, disease. People targeted on safe routes, bomb while they flee. Shot by snipers who shoot those who try to help us, they bleed. Truth is the first victim of war, but this one was live streamed. We saw the schemes and deceit of this evil regime, killing journalists so the truth does not reach. Salute to Motaz, Bizan, nor Harazim, who documented the tragedy, Nakba catastrophe. A genocide by Zionists internationally. South Africa's report detailed the legalities. A war on Palestine is a war on humanity and a race to educate the masses. The Jewish question can't be answered by a state with fascists, racist state actors and arms manufacturers. Free Palestine and protect Al-Aqsa. Generations of families killed instantly, erasing entire neighbourhoods with their military. No fuel, water or food allowed in. Occupation forces are surrounding, collectively punishing a whole population, inciting genocide persuasion with public statements, destroying all chance for Gaza to live. Ethnic cleansing so they cease to exist. We must resist. Genocide, resist. Genocide, if you're complicit. Genocide, you must resist. Genocide. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid. Ceasefire, end the blockade. Ceasefire, send in the aid.
Yeah. All for the same cause.